Hey everyone, this is S and Pratt, and today we're going to talk about Pokemon versus Magic versus sports. In my opinion, these are the big three trading card hobbies. I know sports includes numerous sports, but these are the most established as I'm making this video. While they're the most established, they vary greatly in age, optimization, and market cap. Pokemon is naturally the youngest, then you have Magic 5 years older, and then sports is a good 100 years older. It's just doing the absolute most. It's the most optimized, most historical data, highest consumer income, which naturally yields the highest market cap. Now, with that said, it's not the highest market cap for all collectibles. That would be artwork. The most valuable sports card isn't even close to the most valuable piece of artwork, which I believe was that Da Vinci painting that sold for like $500 million. So when you come down from art, you hit sports, then Magic, then all the way at the bottom of the pond, you have freshly hatched from its egg, the Poliwag that is Pokemon right now. Pokemon is unequivocally the most affordable, established hobby. Period. Period. And I think a great way to start this conversation is that a lot of people in Pokemon get lost in the fog. We talk about all these big sales, that new public sale hits, and people have to season the internet with salt because they have to go through the 5 stages of grief of how could this be? How could this card earn so much money? It's so expensive. It's not even close to Magic. Definitely not close to sports. Not even on the radar for artwork. Point being, it's all relative. In my opinion, I don't think there's a difference between the fire-breathing dragon, the black flower, the baseball player from 1952 looking away from the camera. It's all the same. I think the differences are outside of the product, outside of the collectible. I think it's within the consumer. In Pokemon, not only is it the youngest hobby, we have the youngest individual, the youngest collector group. I think Pokemon also hits a wider array of collectors, anyone from 5 years old to 50 years old, where I think Magic is more specialized for the older demographic, so it's compounded. Where in Pokemon, you not only have a lower consumer income that comes naturally with being younger, they're younger perspective. That's a polite way of saying immaturity. I'm not trying to throw shade there because we've all been there. To be fair, for some Pokemon guys, 7 years, 10 years might be, half their life, where these guys in sports 10 years ago was just 10 years ago in the same career that they're in today, and everything's pretty much the same. So that is the difference. Is not only it's a lower consumer income, but it's a younger perspective as well, which is why the market is so under-optimized. Now, you're probably hearing me say under-optimized. What does that mean? Here's some examples. In Pokemon, you have a ton of availability for the main set stuff. In fact, here's your pro tip. Every WotC card is always available. That'll probably be true for the next 5 years. Come back and check in this video. WotC is a cornerstone of the hobby, but it's not where the rare, most valuable cards exist. It's definitely a massive artery. It's an entry point. It's great. Ton of activity. It's where I started as well. But the cards are always available. High availability. Even on the Charizard first edition, it's always available. All the time. It's just a matter of, do you want to pay that price? Another aspect that comes with Pokemon being under-optimized, when we're talking about perspective and age. Too many people in Pokemon are looking for an instant market injection, an instant market reaction. And that's not how this works. Climbing up that mountain to Magic, sports, and artwork. It's not an instant injection. All that is at the end of the day, whether it's Pokemon Go, Detective Pikachu, Justin Bieber buying cards, which apparently was going to do something. I'm still waiting. All that is at the end of the day is exposure. That's all it is. Evolutions was like that too. I think Shiny Legends, Hidden Fates. The great thing about Hidden Fates is you get exposure from that excitement. That's all it is. Instant market injections aren't sustainable. It's not how any of these other hobbies work. It's a temporary moment, and more importantly, hobbies are a multitude of moments. Look at Mickey Mantle, guy looking away from the camera. Today, PSA 9, 2.8 million was a recently publicly sold copy. I think one sold for more privately, but we'll take that 2.8 million figure. Go back to 1960 when you couldn't sell 10 of those cards, the pack of them, for 1 cent. In that moment, the market wasn't there. It didn't exist. Over time, this is where it is now. And again, under-optimized, you want to stick strictly to sports. Absolutely under-optimized, almost didn't exist. And then today, it's extremely optimized. You have so much data. You have PWCC and places like that trying to make sport cards especially more liquid and trying to track that data over 25 years and compare it to classical investing. It's a heavily optimized market. Where Pokemon, again, we're still Poliwags. We're just splashing around the water, trying to figure out the basic sense. Basic sense is where we are. We're very basic Pokemon right now. And that's okay. That's just where we are as I'm making this video. And some more examples of what I mean by optimization. I think Magic is a great parallel because it's only 5 years older. but there's a lot different in Magic that doesn't exist in Pokemon. This right here is an Alpha Black Lotus I purchased recently. Maybe PSA 4 or 5, wishful thinking. Definitely played. You might be able to see it from here because the back is played. I paid $26,500 for that card. Could have bought it years ago for 10. Probably could have bought it 15 years ago, maybe for 5. Simply chose not to. And today, in the market that exists, it's very optimized. And now, optimization isn't this dirty word. I think, again, younger age tends to be more cynical than not. A lot of people paint that with a broad brush. Like, oh, someone's buying these cards and doing some insidious thing. Even if you were only allowed to buy one of every card, there's just not enough Alpha Lotuses to go around. And especially when you get to things like Illustrators, Splendid Genesis, if you want to stay in Magic, or whatever it is, these items that are just unbelievably rare, even if you can only buy one of them, there will never be enough to go around. So it isn't always this insidious practice of people building positions because they're trying to corner the market. A lot of it is just people chasing that desire. I mean, it's called gotta catch them all at the end of the day, not gotta catch one. You're trying to catch them all. That's the name of the game. That's what we're all doing. It's that fundamental human chase. Now, going back to this optimization idea, in Magic, something like Birds of Paradise. What was that one I bought recently? Act of God? Is that it? There's like a bunch of people decimated with a face of God in the background, Alpha. And I remember talking to somebody about why the price is higher because it isn't super playable. And they're like, oh yeah, someone has like a couple hundred of those. So when you have 100 or 200 of a card that's 1,100 copies, it's like 20% of the market. Or something like Library is probably a better example. Library has numerous positions with numerous individuals. That doesn't really exist in Pokemon. You might have that guy who really likes Lugia, Gyarados, Charizard, whatever it is, and they have multiple copies of the same card. You really just don't have those positions. And if you're really here for the money, the big risk, the big gains, that's how you make money. You don't buy one stock to make money. You buy numerous stocks. That's everything in life is going to be that way. We don't just buy one card and we're done. I don't just buy this card, but okay, got everything I need in Pokemon. No. You're constantly engaged, you're constantly going. It's just the natural flow. So again, going back to this ideal, optimistic fairy tale of everyone can only buy one copy of one card, even if that happened, you're still going to naturally have a more optimized market with time. As the market grows, as consumer income increases, the cards that just objectively don't have enough to go around will continue to disappear. So if we go back 5 years ago, why people lose their mind about new prices is because it's higher than what it was before. So when you go back in the past, not only do you have a higher premium, you also have a much more under-optimized market. You know, when I came around almost, 15 years ago, it was nobody. I had to make Where the Collector's At just for people to talk about collecting. We had to go ahead and make E4 just to make so we could keep talking about collecting. I had to sit here and start talking to people into a camera because we just got to keep talking about collecting. That's where it started. It started from nothing because there was just nothing there. Kind of like the Mantle example in the 60s. There was nothing there. You know, you had to create these markets out of interest. So that's what Pokemon is. It's just hitting that establishment phase. You know, if you're still one of those people who has, you know, subscribed to the Pokemon Go bubble, again, all that was exposure. It made people aware. It made the big players aware who said, hey, we trade all these sports cards, Magic cards, whatever it is. Well, let's incorporate Pokemon into our inventory, and it's here to stay. That's all it is at the end of the day. And now, another thing to close with is that collectibles ultimately are assets. I know a lot of people really try to fight this because, you know, they'll hear me talk about the finance and you're like, oh, it's all about the money. It's all about whatever. No, I will always love these cards from an aesthetic, artistic, nostalgic, sentimental point of view. But you can have multiple perspectives. The word also exists. You can do multiple things. And I think that's another thing people in Pokemon struggle with. Is that they feel like they have to like subscribe to this one idea. I'm a true collector. I'm whatever. You can die on that hill because it's not a thing. It's all just narration, you know. And I think that's another element is that collectibles are assets, whether you acknowledge them or not, whether you're aware of that or not. And rarity, scarcity sells at the end of the day. That's the universal truth. So again, going back to this optimal fairy tale of everyone can only buy one of everything, you'll still have the same people competing to get that one copy of whatever it is. Illustrator, Pika's, Trophy Con, First Edition Charizard, sealed product, let's get them all in there. Whatever that item is, you're always going to have people competing for that product out of genuine interest. So, that is the name of the game. People are naturally more strategic as time goes on. I would imagine as a 25-year-old, you're probably more strategic than you were at 15, dare I say, Maybe when you're 40, you probably think of things in a more realistic way than when you were 25. Same thing for collectibles. It's just a matter of time for something like Pokemon. Again, we're in the basic phase, still figuring things out, and that's okay. It's just where we are right now, and just keep in mind, there's no real difference with Magic, sports, and artwork. The fundamental variables are all there. The only thing missing is time. That's it. Again, my opinion, my observations of being in this for 15 years and dabbling in all of these markets, that's the only thing that's really missing in my experience. So there you go, guys. As usual, let me know how you feel. You know the deal. Till next time.